God, in this episode, I go rank on one of my own students. Apologies up front, it's going to get messy. Hey guys, Glenn Twiddle here. Welcome to another edition in the GT show. This one's going to hurt because this is the sort of rant, whilst the advice is absolutely correct, this is the sort of rant that's going to lose me clients potentially because it's a bit of a coaching smack on the bum. Just read in my group that someone's having some trouble with vendor management, and I just got to suck it up and get into it. There's one of the students, won't be naming, but if you're in the coaching group, of course you know, because the thing is in there, where one of the boys is having some trouble with a vendor because the vendor wants to talk to him often, every second day, I believe. And now, I don't know if you've ever sold a house with a real estate agent, and I don't know if you're like most people, but let me tell you something, I was. And guess what? When I was a motivated seller, and I've sold with a couple of my clients, so understand these are people who've paid me, who I love, guess how often someone who is motivated to sell is thinking about what you're doing in the sale of their house? Because often we give feedback once a week in the form of a written report, and we've got in our head that that's good customer service. Well, guess what? What if they've got in their head something different? What if they want to be kept informed more often? You wouldn't know how often I was thinking about what Danelle Weissman was doing for the sale of my house, what Michael Spillane was doing back in the day when he sold my other house back in Brisbane. Guess how often I was thinking about them. And if remember, keep in mind, if you think you're going to just give them a quick vendor feedback report once a week, and that's your idea of customer service, and remember how much you're paid, $10,000 odd, because that's the ballpark figure of what my commission was in when I sold. Actually, I think the first one was 12, and whatever it was, 12, 15, $10,000, whatever. Guess how often your vendor is thinking about what you're doing? All day, every day. That's exactly right. That's how often, when you're a motivated seller, you wonder what is happening with your $500,000. No, understand, this wasn't mansions, guys. This was just my principal place of residence, both times that I was selling, and I was living in it, and it was for sale on the market, and I was wondering what was going on all day, every day. And these are for agents that I trust. These are for agents that I know what they're doing. Heaven forbid how the general public think about us when they don't have the level of trust that I had of my agents. Heaven forbid how often they need reassuring. So I would just stress, remember how much you're being paid. I mean, guys, here's the thing, and I know this particular agent, and look, I love him. Here's the thing, I love him. I love his attitude. I love that he's getting busier. I love that he's in his maybe first 2 years and is getting into that double-digit listings. All of those things are good. So that's why I hate that I'm doing this and saying you need to suck it up, because this guy is paying you potentially $10,000 odd. And think about how hard you had to work before you got into real estate for $10,000, $15,000. Think about that. I think about how hard I had to work. I had to work full-time for about 3 months to earn $10,000, $15,000. Are you getting that? Full-time, 40 hours a week, 4 weeks a month, full-time for 3 months to earn what potentially you could get away with earning with one 15-minute phone call a day, maybe 10-minute, maybe 30 seconds is all he needs. And then maybe a 2-hour listing presentation, maybe 3 open homes at an hour each, including some travel time, and then maybe 4 hours of negotiating back and forth between buyer and seller and stuff. So literally less than a week of full-time hours, you could be justified in earning $10,000 or $15,000 when most people out there in the world have to work on a $50,000 a year salary 3 months full-time to get that money in a wage. I just wanted to drop some perspective. I get a bit passionate about this because, guys, yesterday was my bill paying day. And just like every other day, my revenue equaled almost my expenses. Guys, what that means is, in order to make my business, which is very successful, it's got great high revenue, but guess how much I give of my gross back to you guys? In the form of expenses and bills and marketing and hiring of Arnold Schwarzeneggers and Richard Bransons, and you see some of the ones I've got on the horizon. I give back to this industry in the form of the expenses that it takes to run this business, in both time, effort, and money. I give it all back. All of it. You know what I mean? I don't pull a multiple six-figure salary. I don't know how much I pull. I just buy what I want and whatever. But I do just shy of $2 million in revenue. And guess how much it costs me to get that $2 million in revenue? All of it. I give it all back. I get up earlier than most of you. I go to bed later than most of you. Why? Because I love it. And I never take for granted. When you guys give me $4,000, you give me half what most of your sellers give you for a week's work. I give you a year of me for half of what one commission is. And I will never take you guys for granted. I give you guys my life. I absolutely do. I no longer listen to music, and I used to be a professional musician. I listen to professional development material, so I'm better for you. I give you everything. I don't socialize really. You know, the amount of friendships that I no longer have or don't cultivate as much because I'm giving you it all. And I get paid a fraction of what you guys get the opportunity to take home. So guys, I just wanted to drop a whole ounce of perspective. If you didn't have this business, if you didn't have, in this case, you know who you are, and I love you, I'm not naming you, but you know, because this video I'm going to use publicly as well. If he is about to pay you 10 grand, what would you have had to do if you were in any other industry to earn 10 grand? I tell you what, you come work with me for 10 grand, you're going to be bleeding. You'll be talking to me for more than 1 5-minute chat a day, I can promise you. You know, I know how hard my staff work to earn their 50 or 60 grand a year. You know, so I guess little drop of perspective, and know that when you're paid the fee we are paid, of course they are going to be thinking about you often. And a way to kind of, now that's not everyone, even though it probably should be more of them should be like this fellow is with you. But a good way to ascertain what they want from you is to maybe have a meeting that Adrian Bowe calls. And what I'll do is on the Real Estate Experts podcast, I'll actually put up which is dropping soon. I'll get you a training from Adrian. I'm just thinking when Adrian's speaking at an event of mine next. Yeah, not sure. But anyway, there's Adrian, but I might even see if I can dig up an old training that I've got with Adrian, but I'll give you the crux of it now. After the listing agreement paperwork ink dries, I think he calls it, when the meeting you have when the ink on the paperwork dries. And really what that is it's a meeting to kind of ascertain. Now, it was my intention, Mr. Seller, that we were going to provide you with a weekly written report, and that's going to look like this, and then we were going to provide you with a phone call after every inspection. And that was our level of feedback to you. Now, some people want less feedback than that. They only want to hear when we've got an offer, and some people would like to be kept informed more regularly with what's going on. Where do you think your sweet spot is? And find out what they want, because your idea of great service, and in this case certainly there is a mismatch of what you think he wants versus what he wants. But whether or not he deserves a phone call every day, call him morning, noon and night. See, here's the thing, if you ever get his number appearing on your phone, my contention to you is you've failed. That means he wants to know something and you haven't given him the feedback. So I never want you to have that sinking feeling when you see his number on your phone. Call him morning when you wake up for 30 seconds with what you're going to do for the day. Call him at lunchtime with how things are going to go, or even just send him a quick text. Call him at the end of the day and let him know how things went and what your plan is tomorrow. Do that for 2 weeks, and I promise you, you've earned the right to ask for that price drop that you're saying you need. So there you go. Oh, and by the way, there was a mention, I only just quickly read it, of him wanting you to come around and clean. Yeah, of course, you're not in that job, but you are in the job. I can't remember what it was. I'm not. But if he did want you to come and clean, then yeah, pay for a cleaner. Pay $200 out of your pocket and go and pay for a dial-a-maid for the day. I mean, $200 will get you a cleaner for 5 hours. Pay for that, right? You're getting paid a professional fee. Act like it. Don't act like you're getting paid, by Woolworths $25 an hour and you can dictate terms. When you're being paid $10,000 perhaps for less than a week's work, I think there's some different ways to look at it than you're currently looking at it. All right, so there it is. That's delivered with all the love in the world. Look, apologies, because I don't, when we only see a Facebook question, there's no accounting for tonality. There's no accounting. Was this fellow rude? I don't know any of those details. All I know is generally, we are overpaid for the hours we put in and for the skill. We didn't have to get to learn to be a brain surgeon to earn our 10 grand. In my opinion, we are overpaid. I know I was. Back in the day, when they were paying me $8,000, $10,000 for what I did, I was grossly overpaid for the skills and value I brought to the table. Hell, now I know the equation. I give far more than I ask for in return. But back when I was a listing and selling real estate agent, that was not true. I'm embarrassed for how how skilled I wasn't for the money I was remunerated. So little dose of reality, little reality check. Hopefully it's welcome, and if it's not, I apologize to the one person who asked this question who might not have got the answer that they wanted, but there it is. That's another episode of the GT Show. I'm normally much more positive than this, guys. I promise. But in this case, I believe it was necessary and helpful. If taken in the right way, this piece of advice could change your career forever if you let it. And this piece of advice could also have you disconnect with me forever because you didn't like the advice. And I would hate to see that as the case. Until next time, guys. Bye for now.